Hello again, this is Nick. In these few short videos, I'm going to explain what the third eye is, why it's important that we open our third eye, the pineal gland, and also how to do it safely. And first, I'll start off with my personal story. Um, I'd never heard of the third eye in my 27 years 28 years of being on this earth. I didn't know what it was, I didn't know anything about it. And I definitely didn't see spiritual images. Although I had had a lot of people in my life, including my mother and some other people, and my wife, when I got with my wife, who definitely had abilities, whether it was knowing channel abilities. My wife's got some incredible stories from when she was younger where she would just know things that she couldn't have known unless she had that ability. And a quick story, my mum, when she was younger, she knew something was going to happen one night, and she asked my father to please stay at home, and she was very serious about this. She said, if you go, don't come back. That's how adamant she knew something was going to happen. And that night my grandfather died, her father died. So, and I believe every family will have stories like this, where they have an auntie or a grandfather who's had experiences like this. Yet a lot of us shut them down. If our kids say they see things, we tend to shut them down. And this is basically how I found out about the third eye. My wife always would say she would see things in apartments that we were living in, and I was the first one to shut my wife down. I used to say, it's all in your head, you're just scaring yourself, blah, blah, blah. Then our son came along, and when he was 1, we moved into an apartment. There was a lot of activity, negative activity going on in that apartment that I experienced. Now bear in mind I was an atheist at this point. I had 2 years where I'd lost all faith in anything, and I experienced some really full-on stuff that I won't go into on this video, and my family did. So then I was fully aware that there was things that I couldn't see with my eyes that were taking place. And that's actually how I found Master Sha. I got introduced to a student of Master Sha, and he sat with my son and my wife. They spoke openly about what they saw, and I came home and researched the third eye. And in a nutshell, there is a gland in the center of our head called the pineal gland, and it is connected to the visual cortex of our brain. It is made from the same things as our 2 eyes are made of. And I actually heard Drunvalo Malvidazek say that it points up. That's one of the differences. It actually faces up. Now, it's very active in children, and that's why a lot of kids see things. They see imaginary friends, they see angels, or they see monsters, There is a light side and a dark side. They see it all. And we also, as a defense mechanism, parents tend to say, no, there's no such thing, what you're seeing is wrong, which then again causes the child to doubt what they're seeing. Now, some people have very active third eyes their whole life. Like my wife has always seen stuff, but just never been able to tell anyone. Never, where we come from, back in England, it was just not something, you'd have got laughed at, basically. You wouldn't really have got taken serious. So I've always been somebody who has always trained physical exercise. So when I found Master Sha's work, and I asked so many questions and I got them all answered, I started to put his meditations into practice, and I basically swapped my physical training for meditation. So I was doing so much meditation in the beginning. I was doing anywhere from 1 hour to 4 or 5 hours meditation a day. And I was getting really good results fast. Now, my wife was having all these incredible images, but I wasn't. But I wasn't bothered. I was totally cool with it. I didn't expect to see anything. I was very dense back then. I was a lot bigger, didn't feel much. And long story short, I remember one night I was meditating, and the way I can explain it was, in front of my face, I saw a lot of colours start to merge and take shape, and I actually saw a tree. I didn't have a clue what the tree was, but I wasn't seeing it with my eyes. My eyes were closed. It was like I was seeing it from inside my head, and it was so vivid. It was like I could have touched it, and it wasn't like an imagination. It wasn't like I was just imagining something. It was an experience I'd never had before. So then there was like energy waves coming from this tree that were physically, I was feeling, okay? Every cell in my body was vibrating. I got really hot, and the image was getting even more real. It was like I felt like I could have held it, and it actually spun me out a little bit, and it got me thinking. And then as soon as I started thinking, it just went, and I thought, what was that? So then I spoke to my wife the next day, and I told her the experience, and she said, that's a third eye image, although they can come in different ways. And to be honest with you, a lot of my third eye images have come different from that. That was a very unique vision I had, my first ever vision. But some of the things Danielle, my wife's told me, have been incredible. And some of the things I've seen I couldn't even imagine. They're just profound. So the reason I share that story is because, one, I was a skeptic. Two, I'd never really felt anything. And three, I'm proof that these techniques work. Now, when you look at things like DMT and like ayahuasca, there's many ancient traditions who use natural psychedelics to open the pineal gland to work on a physical level. I personally have tried DMT, and it was an incredible experience, which is the main ingredient for ayahuasca. I wanted to see what type of images I would see using that, and it was quite different, I'll be honest with you, but I still had a really profound experience from it, and I'll explain that in another video. So why is it important to open the third eye? Now think about this for a moment. Everything in the human body has a purpose, okay? Our heart has a function, our kidneys have a function, our lungs have a function, our teeth, our skin, our brain, everything has a function. So the pineal gland has a function, and its function is to allow us to see spiritual images. It allows us to stay connected to the heavens and the soul world, as well as different dimensions, because what I experienced through DMT was different from any other third eye experience I had. It was the first time I had an experience of the cosmic web, if you like, that really holds everything together. So with Master Sha's teachings and practices, what I've found over 4 years of applying them is it's the safest way, okay? And it does take work. So the reason we want to open it is because we want to go back to being connected with the soul world. You know, I believe the forces that control this planet, there's a lot of information on the internet about this, they don't want us to know what's going on. And if you watch a documentary called the DMT, The Spirit Molecule, you'll see in there how Some hospitals are treating terminally ill patients with DMT. They're giving them like 3 or 4 experiences on DMT, and it's completely opening them up, and they're not afraid of dying. They totally accept it because they see what else there is. And they have great results treating depression, people with depression, because and drug addiction as well. And it makes sense, because why are people depressed? Because they think this is all there is. And when you open them up and show them that there's so much more, people come alive. So with Master Sha's techniques, I managed to open my spiritual channels, all of them. But in this particular video, we're going to talk about the pineal gland. So next I'm going to show you a practice on how to open the third eye.